We all know the sinking feeling of hearing four simple words, "You didn't get it." That tiny moment of failure is a universal human experience. But before you even have time to feel embarrassed, an automatic electrical response fires deep inside your brain. It happens in milliseconds, a neutral, biological alarm system registering that an error occurred. Researchers can actually watch this reaction happen in real time. Using electroencephalography technology, the multi-node caps that read brainwaves, scientists map the exact electrical spikes that follow a mistake. The brain isn't biologically afraid of this initial spike. It is a functional mechanism, a sensor simply noting that what you attempted didn't work. The critical moment follows in the subsequent milliseconds. How the brain interprets that error signal determines whether it remains open to new information or enters a state of cognitive suppression that can linger for days. This single failure forces the brain to a crossroads. Depending on how the mind perceives the mistake, it will enter one of two divergent neurological realities. On the first path, the fixed mindset, the brain translates the words, "you didn't get it," into a permanent verdict on its own core ability. This chart tracks a secondary electrical signal called error positivity, or PE, representing conscious attention to a mistake. In a fixed mindset, this PE wave is severely flattened. This low amplitude proves the brain is actively disengaging, running away from the error to protect its self-worth. This retreat triggers the ancient threat detection network, igniting the amygdala to signal the same alarm as facing physical danger. When the amygdala takes over, neural resources are diverted away from the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus. These are the specific areas required to consolidate and retain new memories. This resource diversion causes stress-induced learning suppression. Because the brain remains prioritized for threat detection, its ability to process challenging new material remains impaired long after the mistake occurred. By treating a learning error as a definitive threat to identity, the brain effectively paralyzes its own memory-forming machinery for days afterward. Reset to that same crossroads, but with a different linguistic lens. This is the growth mindset, built on the word yet. When a failure is framed as a temporal process rather than a permanent state, the electrical reaction changes. The secondary PE wave spikes into a high-amplitude peak. Dr. Carol Dweck describes this high-voltage signal as a brain that is on fire with yet. It indicates a mind that is actively pouring attention into the mistake to formulate a better strategy. Since the threat detection system stays quiet, the brain's seeking systems remain active. This keeps the pathways for deep conceptual processing open. It's like playing a video game. Falling in a level isn't a verdict. It's just a prompt to adjust your trajectory and try again. This iterative state provides the biological environment required for neuroplasticity, the physical forming and strengthening of new synaptic connections. The growth mindset prevents the cognitive shutdown associated with stress, ensuring the brain stays in a state optimized for synaptic growth. This research redefines intelligence. It isn't a static, inherited trait, but a dynamic physical network governed by our own perception. This neurological trajectory is steered by a simple change in internal dialogue. By moving from "I failed" to "not yet," the brain bypasses the evolutionary alarm that normally shuts down learning. This small semantic change determines whether a mistake leads to days of suppressed memory or a period of intense synaptic development. The human brain is a malleable machine that takes its structural cues directly from the stories we tell ourselves about our failures. The tragedy of the fixed mindset is that the brain was never biologically afraid of the physical act of making an error. It only shuts down its ability to learn because it is terrified of being told it has permanently failed.